Still very inexperienced.
Yeah.
How do you balance being negative about their performance but positive because they're young? How do you balance that?
I try and stay positive with them. I mean, you teach when we watch the video with them on Sundays. We certainly teach from the day before anything that we need to learn from. But the running game, it's easy to say, oh, the offensive line is terrible, the running backs are terrible, when it may be the quarterback should have gotten us out of that play, or maybe it's the tight end should have done this, or the receiver should have done that, and it's one guy here and there. Trey showed what he can do against Alabama. He was over 100 yards against Marshall on that long run. We were close on Saturday. I'm not discouraged at all by any stretch of the imagination with the running game. We're doing whatever we have to do each Saturday to win games. Sometimes that's running Logan. Sometimes that's throwing the football. Whatever gives us the best chance to win. On Saturdays is what we're going to do. But with those backs, you try and stay positive.
Is that a product of youth? I mean, you got 5 freshmen on the field sometimes. So the struggles in the running game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just things that sometimes Trey is going to see for the first time. I mean, there was a play coming out of the tunnel end zone. Trey was in the pistol. We ran the ball with him, and there was about a 2 or 3 yard gain. If he had seen the backside, he'd still be running. And that's just things that come with experience. And that's what I told Leffler. We're doing a lot in the run game. Not so much a lot of different plays, but out of a lot of different formations. And because of that, you don't get to rep. You rep the plays during the week, but there's some plays, like last week, we had some new things going in, so we spent the bulk of our time on that. And that play that Trey ran was essentially the same thing that he scored on against Alabama, but he hadn't done as much of it the last couple weeks. And when you got a young guy like that, he's got to run every play every week. You can't say, okay, we did it 2 weeks ago, and there's automatically that retention. With a lot of stuff it is, but we've got 4 good ones, and you constantly are trying to get them reps in practice so they get that experience of seeing things and understanding how things are blocked.
How much think about Jerome this past Saturday, getting extended time with Sam out?
He did a good job. Jerome's got athletic ability. We've gone back and forth. Is he a tailback? Is he a fullback? A few weeks ago, we were going to start working him as a tailback more to try and get him involved with that. But he did a good job. I got confidence in Greg Goodell also, the other backup fullback. And Jerome did a good job. He and I asked him a couple things at halftime, quizzed him a little bit that he didn't do so hot on. So there was some concern about him and what he could get done. But he went in there and did a good job. And he's got athletic ability, but he's super young, and was homeschooled, played a year of high school football, I guess, and then went to Fork Union. So he's really seen a lot of things for the first time. But he showed what he can do, and it's good to know that you got a guy besides Sam that can go in there and produce.
Did you quiz him on big picture stuff, or was it
formations?
His role
Formations. If we call this, where do you line up? And he immediately got it wrong. So that wasn't a good sign at halftime. But in defense of him, the formation was a formation that, depending on the personnel grouping, he would line up somewhere different. And in August, when he always ran that formation, he was in a different spot. I wasn't really getting into rationalizing why he said it and things like that at halftime. But we got that cleared up, and we said, if you go out there this half, here's the 4 things you need to be able to do. And then Lefty actually called a couple more things that, in addition to that, for him. So it was good.
How much did not having Rodgers affect the game plan, and do you expect him to?
Yeah, he looked great out there today. I was sitting in my office at 7 a.m. this morning, looked outside the window, and he's out there on the practice field just running sprints on the practice field at 7 a.m. That's just how he is. He looked good today. He actually did more. Initially, we said in our staff meeting this morning to just let him do a little bit in individual and then let him kind of rest it. And then I look out there in some of the scout team periods, and he's doing scout team work. So I'm confident in him being able to play Saturday, and then losing him on Saturday, that affected a lot of stuff. And a lot of our offense the last few weeks has been 2 tailbacks in the game at the same time and Sam in the game at the same time. And we got out of that a little bit when he got hurt. There's no question about it. Because the next guy we felt like was Calvin, and some of those things Calvin is doing for the first time and doesn't have as much experience doing as well.
Where's Jerome right in his development and how you're using him?
He's coming along. He's behind a pretty good player right now in Sam. I was just telling Norm that we had talked about in the past getting him more involved as a tailback because he's got natural ability running the football. But as you guys know, we've got a logjam right now at tailback, so it's just hard to get guys reps. And I throw him in there at tailback some and let him run the football some during practice. He does okay. He's got natural hands. He's a good athlete. He's a good football player, and he's just really, really, really young right now, but he's continuing to get better. And I was glad to see him get in there and have some things happen to him on Saturday and get some confidence.
If Sam screws up, ever 6 a.m. gassers aren't going to phase him.
No, he'll laugh at you.
You have to wake him up at 3.
Just lock him out of the.
Yeah.
Lock him out of the
Exactly.
field.
That's right. You talk about somebody that was hurt about not playing on Saturday. That was him. Getting hurt crushed him. But oh my God! But
Well,
he.
the announcer, the sideline reporter said he was begging to go back.
I can see that. I can see that with him. I saw him at dinner Saturday night. I had to take a recruit to dinner, and he was at the same restaurant we went to, and he was still fuming. I think on Saturday night about getting hurt. Not in pain, just mad because he got hurt.
What do you look at the running game right now? What do you think is stopping you guys from being more productive?
We just got to be more consistent. We're with the run game. It's a guy here, a guy there. Maybe the quarterback should have got us out of a bad play. Maybe the receiver didn't get a block downfield or missed a crack or whatever it might be. Some of it Saturday was the tailback. Some of it Saturday was the offensive line. I mean, it's all, everybody has a hand in it. Each week we kind of go into each game deciding how are we going to win this game. Is it throwing it? Is it running Logan primarily? Is he going to be our primary ball carrier? Is it getting the tailbacks involved? And there's no question. I mean, we want to have more than 40-some yards rushing or whatever we had on Saturday or the Thursday before. We got to get the running game going. It's a little bit of inexperience at the tailback position, but that's not an excuse. But I'm not discouraged at all in the running game. I got confidence with what we're doing. I mean, we ran okay against Alabama at times. We did okay against Marshall at times. We've shown flashes. And then even Saturday, I mean, when they fumbled the punt return, we lined up on offense and we ran, I think it was 7 straight runs, and we ran the exact same play 6 straight times. I mean, same formation, same play, and just kept running it over and over again. So when you can do that, even though, I mean, we had good field position to start, but when you can line up and run the same play over and over again and they know it's coming, we showed something there. Now we just got to continue to build on it.
Are you anticipating, though, it getting easier with the success the passing game's having, or defense is going to have to shift back a little bit?
I mean, we thought North Carolina would attempt to maybe defend the pass. I don't know if defend the pass is the right word, but they were going to. I think every defense that goes into a game wants to stop the run. They say, let's stop the run, let's make them one-dimensional. And if teams want to continue to, load the box and try and stop the run against us, that's great. I mean, we'll continue to throw it and try and throw the ball over their heads. And Lefty and Logan have a good feel for what we're doing in the passing game right now. But we're not going to be able to win games the rest of October and November if we're running the ball for 40 yards a game or whatever it is. We've got to get that going. I know everyone's working hard to get that done. We're always up here late, but we were up here extra late last night just talking about the run game. What plays give us the best chance to be successful, and then out of what formations do we want to run those things as well. Because that's the other thing. We're doing a lot formation-wise. Lining guys up in different places and things like that. And when you're doing that, sometimes we're trying to be funky with some of the formations we're lining up in. And when you do that, you don't always know how is the other team going to line up if we line up in this. And that happened a couple times on Saturdays. We lined up, and North Carolina was probably screwed up because they didn't know how to line up, but because they were screwed up, we're running a play in the look that we hadn't really seen in practice because they might have been lined up the wrong way. So we've just got to be sound, or not sound, but really narrow down about what we're running, out of which formation, and make sure our offensive line is having a chance to block those looks during practice.
It seems